Hello, everyone. I am Bella Grace, and I wanted to take some time and just share with you a couple of things about, I'm going to say education, not just homeschooling. Again, I am the founder of the Homeschool group, and I set out on a mission years ago, starting in 2007, where I vowed to God that I would help other parents when it comes to learning about homeschooling, but more importantly, teaching them what it means to give their child the best education and what even the best education means. And so, after going around meeting with other parents, other groups in different cities, different states, no one could answer the questions that I was asking them. And for me, they seemed like they were simple questions, but for the people that I was asking that have been homeschooling their children for quite some time, it was impossible for them to answer. And so that's the inspiration behind the homeschool group. It was about helping parents that were just how I was 17 years ago, helping them to learn, I'm gonna say this way, helping them to learn, but being the answer that they need for the questions that they have. Okay. And so in this video, what I want to discuss is about assessments. Some people say assessments, some people say assessments. I want to discuss about assessments. Okay. And so I know that with a lot of schools, they have assessments, and they kind of give it to you right then and there, right? So it's like maybe they'll schedule a day and they will say, well, your child will be assessed for 35 minutes, or they may even use the word observation, right? And so they'll say, well, I'm gonna observe your child or watch your child for 45 minutes or for 30 minutes or for an hour. It could be a half a day, it could be all day. But can I tell you something? When it comes to assessing a child and their learning, that's a continual process and pattern. It is not a one-time thing. Children, like seasons, like leaves, they change. Like adults, they change. Every day is a new day. Today, that child may come and perform at an exceptionally great pace or speed or drive, and then tomorrow it could be the total opposite. Or maybe they start off great, and by the end of the day or the end of the school time, they may decline. Or it could be the reverse. They start out really sluggish and they end really well with a great fanfare, right? So as a teacher and educator, your position in that room, whether it's a physical classroom you want to call it, whether if it's the library, wherever, the world really has to become your classroom. You need to be able to consistently and faithfully assess that child, observe that child. And not just one child, but all the children. In other words, maybe one child seems that they can work on their own. Don't leave that child in a position to now know that they are alone. Always let the children know that they're never alone. Always let the children know that you are always available to them. And that's why I wanted to discuss about these assessments. And so here with the services that I offer through Bella Grace Academy and the homeschool group, when I assess a child, it's not the typical that you're going to get from most places. Again, I'm assessing your child daily. I'm watching what they like, what they don't like. I'm seeing where they need help, and how to administer that help, how to give them that help. And that's how, moving forward as our, I'm going to say staff increases, that's how I train my staff also. Because it's not just about coming in and collecting a paycheck. I had listened to a video the other day, and the guy was like saying how he was ready to go on vacation, from teaching because the children was just too much in their work and things like that. And I'm like, well, when you agreed, when you signed that document saying that you wanted to come and teach for this school year, did you not understand that? Did you not understand all what comes along with that? Even in those things, the teacher and the staff needs to be assessed. As a parent, that's your mission to assess, even when it comes to homeschooling. Because there are a lot of individuals who believe that when it comes to homeschooling, that means that the school, quote unquote, does not get to tell me anything about my child anymore. But that's not what school is for. School is a place where your child comes to learn the things that they need to learn and know and trust and believe, that's going to direct them on the path of where it is that they need to go. So when that is not happening with that child, you have got to understand the delays that is happening, because you have now conditioned that child to believe that you don't need school. No, school is about learning. School equates to learning. It is not about just it being an outside structure. And so when you take that on to homeschool your child or a child, it is not the getaway oasis for not ever having to go to school again. Because again, if you notice, the word is homeschool. That means you're going to be learning from home. That means that you as the parent and whomever may be in your household or your community or your village, like everyone has a role to play. And so yes, going to the grocery store, going to the laundromat, or even washing clothes, baking, all of those things, you're going to be able to come forth and learn and things like that. But you must remember that we're not focusing on the things. It's supposed to be focusing on the child, because that child is going to continue to carry forth the legacy of your family and your family's name. Okay. So, again, that's the purpose of homeschooling. It's not a trend. I know a lot of people are now coming over, even though more homeschooling has really grown. But a lot of people are coming over for the wrong reasons. Because again, there has to be order. There has to be structure. It's not do it when you feel like it. I get it. In some homes, it may be, I'm going to say, necessary to do that. Where in the evening or the late afternoon, you're going to need to homeschool. Let me not say homeschool, to teach your child, right? But the truth is that learning is every day, all day. Your child should be learning. You should be learning. Your child should be observing, watching, and you should be observing and watching. And as adults / parents, we really have to be on guard at all times, like a watchman on the wall, because we have to protect these children. You can't allow your child to just keep wandering out aimlessly and doing things. So whether it's video games, whether if it's movies, whether if it's going over to the neighbor's house, you still need to not protect it in a way where you're just raw. You know what I mean? No, I'm talking about that comes with an observation. Again, that comes with an assessment that's going to help your child, which will also help your family. And I'm going to say help your future, help your legacy as well, to be able to grow. So you have to be that watchman on the wall, okay? And then wherever they go, that's what they take, because there's an order to things. So yes, maybe when you're first starting, your schedule may not look the same. Okay. Maybe when you're first starting, your child, they may learn better in the evening time, versus the morning time. But it doesn't mean that they don't need to learn in the morning. It just means that I've observed that my child likes to come and learn at nighttime or at bedtime, right? That they like to learn that way. And so you can also learn how to incorporate that in their learning, because that time right there is going to be beneficial for everyone involved. That when they come and say, can we read this book now, or can we work in that book, or can we do this sheet, or can we color, or whatever it may be, can we spell these words, whatever it may be, and you don't want to drop the ball in that. Also, this is still about assessments. You don't want to, let's say your child is really good with reading, okay? And you know that your child is good with reading. I'm talking about where they read and they read with understanding and they fully comprehend it. You don't want to leave your child to now fend for themselves. So you just leave them out there and that's it. Because again, if as long as I can read, I'm going to start picking up other things and start reading it. You must be a parent 24/7. That is not something that you give up on and say, I'm not going to do it. That is something that as a parent or educator or teacher, you need to continue to do. So whether or not if you were called to a school per se to be that teacher, right? You still need to understand that you were still put in this world to be a teacher, to be a leader, to be an educator. What are you educating your child about? Where are you leading them to go? What are you encouraging? What are you supporting? What are you not supporting? You have to set order to things. There has to be an order to everything. And so lately I've just really, been bearing witness to how everyone wants to come and jump on a bandwagon, so to speak, right? And so, everybody's on the thing and you're, clanging and banging and carrying on, right? And having a whole showdown, right? But there's no order. There has to be an order to everything. Your child getting adequate rest is necessary. What time are we laying down and what time are we waking up? And let me tell you something, especially when it comes to homeschooling, a lot of parents want to be able to do it at any time. And you want to know why? Because they're tired. Because you didn't go to sleep. You didn't get the proper rest that you needed. And city homeschoolers definitely differ from country homeschoolers. And I'm not saying that it cannot be the same and that it's not the same. I'm going to talk about what makes it, what the difference I'm talking about. So if you live out in the country or a field or a farm, you have the animals to tend to and things like, so waking up is way different in the low that has to be versus someone in the city where, you have buildings and skyscrapers and landscapes and whatever you're going on. It's a different thing, but it doesn't stop the truth from being the truth. You still need to set order. There's a quote that goes, early to bed, early to rise, right? We get in the bed, we go and rest ourselves because tomorrow we have our work laid out for us. Now, whether if you want to work with your child 15 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day, 1 hour a day, that's fine. Because again, there is that child and yourself will be learning all day as well as teaching. So that part, the time on that does not matter. It's not about you sitting there for 3 hours to teach your child. It's not about that. It's about being consistent and faithful even in that. Your child needs a well-balanced breakfast when they start off with. So even if you're in a situation where, the funds may be low, but there are still ways around that. Okay. And what I mean around it, not to avoid it, but I'm saying that they can still eat something proper. Okay. It could be a piece of bread. Seriously. It can be a piece of fruit. They have some fruits that are more expensive than others, and they have some fruit like bananas, for example. Up until now, bananas are still one of the cheapest fruits you can purchase. Now, if your child is allergic to bananas or they cannot eat bananas, well, then let's keep on going down the line. Maybe it's a roll and you can get that together and they can have that water. I'm going to discuss those things in more videos to come or content to come, however you want to call it. But I'm just saying that they need something to eat. They need to be well rested. They need to have something to eat. It ought to be well balanced. But again, you may be living out of your car. And you may not have access to giving your child that well-balanced breakfast every morning, right? And I have a course that can help you if you are a parent right now and that's your situation, to help you that you don't stay right there like that. Because you're not going to just accept that as that's the way for you to live. But again, that's a separate course and I will make mention of that. You know, if you message me, I'll give you more information on that. But you need to have rest. You need to be able to eat to break that fast when you finish resting. And then you need to come now, because now it's time for learning time. Probably before you get to learning time, you may have to actually go and wash the dishes or things like that. Or you can begin your learning. And then when y'all are done, then y'all begin to learn about home life. Because guess whose responsibility that is to teach your child about home life and what it means to have a family. The family, and the word family means the servants of a household. That's you, the parent. That's the father, the mother, and whomever else is in your household. If you have grandparents there, okay. If you have servants, you know, a maid, a butler, housekeeper, nanny, whatever, whomever makes up your household, okay? So again, that time is necessary. So you sit with that child, you walk it through, you get out whatever the lessons for today. If we're going to work on their letters, if we're going to work on words, that's what you need to do. And even that needs to be well balanced. It needs to all make sense. So start with the basics, right? Reading, writing, arithmetic. There needs to be some form of reading. There needs to be some form of writing. There needs to be some form of arithmetic. Even if the arithmetic is counting the pages in the book and saying we read 3 pages today, that child has now learned that. Even if it's I wrote 5 words on the paper or 5 sentences, it's all around us. It's inevitable. You cannot avoid it. In doing so, this is how you also make assessments, to watch that child and see where that child needs to be. Assessments are necessary. One of the biggest errors that I have, you know, witnessed and believe is it's a huge oversight. Is putting a bunch of children all together in the same room. I don't agree with that. And I don't agree with it because you need to, again, assess that child. So with me, I don't put the children all together at once. I need to see where each child is at. And as I learn where each child is at, then I now know, okay, look, when they do come together, this is how they can come together. This is how that's going to, you know, be successful in that. And to have growth in it for each child as well as myself, because all of us got to get to the finish line, right? But if I focus on the finish line first and not the child and addressing the areas the child needs to learn in, there's not going to be any success there. And so whether if you homeschool your child on your own, or whether if you have someone else to come in and homeschool your child, to teach your child, either way, you still have to be involved as parents, okay? And the educator or the teacher still needs to be involved with the parents, and you cannot exclude the child. The child is included in that. Okay, so again, assessments are necessary, because what you don't see that's floating around is all the thoughts that are going around, literally like this all day long. You know, it's like frying chicken. The different elements or whatever that's in the oil, when it hits up in the air, I'm a person that when that happens, I can't even see. Like literally my eyes become so blurred out and I have to go sit down somewhere because I can't continue because of the stuff. You have to have circulation and ventilation. It's the same thing when it comes to education, like the exact same thing. So you have to be in a position where it's going to be able to circulate, or it's going to bring about too much mayhem and mischief. You need to know where those children are. Then, even when you're working with them in a group, everyone now knows what they need to know, everyone that's involved. And you can move and you can work accordingly that way, versus if you just slam them all together. And so then the child that may be great in reading now becomes distracted and they're not reading with, because it requires a strength. That the reason why a lot of children have learning disabilities or behavior disorders is because I can't read. And you're putting me in a room